Alright, what's up, legends? So when you think of Cuba, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably some dude looking like a total G, puffing on a fat Cohiba cigar, right? Or maybe you're picturing those old-school candy-colored vintage cars cruising down a sun-drenched street in Havana, looking like they just time-traveled straight out of a 1950s movie set. And yeah, for sure, you're thinking about salsa dancing. The kind of moves that make you feel like you've got two left feet just watching it. It's all mojitos, fedoras, and that Buena Vista Social Club soundtrack playing on a loop in your brain. And look, you're not wrong, dude. That stuff is definitely a huge part of the vibe. But here's the thing, and I'm telling you this straight up. If that's all you know about Cuba, you're basically just looking at the cover of the book and thinking you know the whole story. It's like only knowing California for Hollywood and avocados. You're missing the whole epic saga, the insane plot twists, and the characters that are way more complex than you could ever imagine. Cuba is one of the most mysterious, misunderstood, and straight-up fascinating places on the entire planet. It's a country that operates on its own frequency, a place that's been shaped by forces that most of us can barely even comprehend. It's a living, breathing paradox that will mess with your head in the best way possible. We're about to pull back the curtain on all of it. We're going deep, way beyond the tourist brochures and the Instagram cliches. We're talking about a country with a story so wild it sounds like fiction. A place where resilience isn't just a buzzword, it's the air people breathe every single day. We're going to explore the legends of a man who literally couldn't die. Uncover how a nation with so little has managed to send its doctors to save lives all over the globe, and figure out why getting online feels like you're firing up a dial-up modem in your grandma's basement. This isn't just a travel guide, my friends, so buckle up, because we're about to drop 15 surprising facts that are going to completely shatter your perception of this island nation. This is the real Cuba, the raw, unfiltered, and mind-blowing version that you won't find anywhere else. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of its economy, the heart and soul of its people, and the secrets that make it one of the most captivating places on Earth. By the end of this, you'll see Cuba not just as a vacation spot but as a complex, beautiful, and utterly unforgettable world. Let's get into it. Cuba holds the title of the most sanctioned country in modern history. For over 60 years, the U.S. embargo, El Bloqueo, has shaped every aspect of Cuban life, restricting trade, finance, and travel. This blockade has forced Cubans to become masters of ingenuity, keeping old cars and equipment running with whatever they can find. It's created a unique culture of resilience, solidarity, and pride. But behind the vintage cars and colorful streets is a daily struggle: scarce resources, crumbling buildings, and families making do with less. Understanding the embargo is key to understanding the spirit and complexity of modern Cuba. In Cuba, shortages are a daily reality. Grocery stores often have empty shelves, and people line up for hours, never sure what will be available. Sometimes it's chicken, sometimes nothing at all. The U.S. embargo and internal inefficiencies make importing food and medicine difficult and expensive. Pharmacies face the same shortages, so even basic medicines can be hard to find. Many Cubans rely on relatives abroad for essentials. This struggle shapes daily life for millions. Let's talk about Cuba's real national treasure: its women. Cuban women are stunning, with a unique blend of Spanish, African, and Caribbean heritage. But it's not just about looks. They're confident, resilient, and lead in every field from science to the arts. They're the backbone of families and communities, managing daily life with creativity and strength. Cuban women keep traditions alive, pass down stories, and shape the island's culture. When you think of Cuba, think of these multi-talented, unbreakable women, the true heart and soul of the island. Absolute legends, every single one of them. Buckle up, this story is wild. It's about Origenes Lucha, a Cuban fisherman known as the Immortal. Shipwrecked at sea, he survived days clinging to wreckage. Years later, he lived through a sugar mill explosion, then a hurricane that flattened his village. Locals say he's protected by spirits, skeptics call it luck. Origenes just shrugs, credits God and stubbornness. Whether miracle or coincidence, his story became Cuban legend, a symbol of resilience and hope. Sometimes the line between fate and survival is razor thin. That's the legend of the Immortal Man. In Cuba, internet access is a luxury, not a given. Getting online means waiting in long lines for a Texa Wi-Fi cards, then heading to crowded public parks just to connect. Each card gives you an hour, if you can afford it. Families gather around glowing screens, racing the clock and slow speeds. Mobile data exists, but it's expensive, out of reach for many. So Cubans created El Paquete Semanal, an offline, grassroots network delivering movies, music, and news by USB. It's a brilliant workaround showing Cuba's resilience and creativity. Land in Cuba, grab your convertible, and get ready for adventure. First stop, Vinales Valley. Lush mogotes, rolling tobacco fields, and a vibe that's pure chill. Walk the fields, meet local farmers, and soak in the slow pace. Next, Trinidad. Cobblestone streets, pastel mansions, and live music everywhere. It's a time capsule glowing at sunset. And in Havana, the Malecon is the city's living room. Waves crashing, classic cars cruising, and locals gathering for sunset parties. These spots aren't just places to see, they're the heart and soul of Cuba. Alright, let's switch gears. Because this next fact about Cuba is wild. While the rest of the world is arguing about healthcare, Cuba is out here being the world's doctor. For real. They have this massive international medical program where they send thousands of doctors and nurses to other countries. We're talking over 60 countries across the globe, from Latin America to Africa to even remote Pacific islands. It's like the Peace Corps, but with stethoscopes and a whole lot more training. These Cuban doctors go to places that other doctors wouldn't touch, serving in rural villages, disaster zones, and impoverished communities. This whole thing started way back after the revolution. A bunch of doctors bailed, so Castro made it a top priority to train new ones and build a healthcare system from scratch. The focus was on prevention and community-based care, which was super forward-thinking. They ended up with a surplus of highly trained medical professionals, and instead of just chilling, they decided to export their biggest asset, their doctors. It's become a cornerstone of their foreign policy, a form of medical diplomacy that has won them a ton of goodwill around the world. It's a pretty powerful statement, you know? Think about the impact this has. When a natural disaster hits, like an earthquake in Haiti or an Ebola outbreak in West Africa, Cuban medical brigades are often the first on the scene. They set up field hospitals and get to work, no questions asked. They're not just providing aid, they're building relationships and saving lives in places that are often forgotten by the international community. It's a level of humanitarian effort that's pretty staggering for a small island nation facing its own major economic challenges. They're literally punching way above their weight class on the global stage. And it's not just about sending doctors out, they also bring people in. Cuba's Latin American School of Medicine, or ELAM, offers free medical education to students from low-income backgrounds from all over the world. The only catch is that after they graduate, they have to go back and serve their own underserved communities. So, they're not just giving a man a fish, they're teaching him how to be a freaking doctor and build a healthcare system. It's an insane long-term vision that has created a global network of doctors trained in the Cuban model of community-focused preventative medicine. But let's get real about what this means for the doctors themselves. It's not an easy gig. These doctors leave their families behind for years at a time to go work in some of the most challenging conditions imaginable. They're living in basic accommodations, often without reliable electricity or running water, dealing with diseases and a lack of resources that would make most people quit on day one. It's a massive personal sacrifice. They're driven by a sense of duty and a genuine desire to help, which is incredibly admirable. It's a level of dedication that's hard to even comprehend. The program isn't without controversy, though. Critics, especially the US government, have raised concerns about the conditions for the doctors, sometimes labeling the program as a form of forced labor. They point out that the Cuban government takes a significant cut of the salaries paid by host countries, with the doctors receiving only a small portion. It's a complex issue, man. On one hand, you have this incredible humanitarian outreach, and on the other, you have questions about the rights and compensation of the medical professionals who make it all possible. It's a classic Cuban paradox. Despite the politics, the impact on the ground is undeniable. Talk to people in a remote village in Venezuela or a rural community in Angola, and they'll tell you stories about the Cuban doctor who saved their child's life, or delivered their baby. For millions of people, a Cuban doctor is the only doctor they've ever seen. These medical missions fill a critical gap in global healthcare, providing access to care for people who would otherwise have none. It's a human connection that transcends any political debate or economic sanction. It's about one person helping another in their time of need. Ultimately, this program shows a different side of Cuba. It's not just about classic cars and cigars, it's a nation that has prioritized health and education and decided to share that wealth with the world. It's a story of resilience, sacrifice, and a deep-seated belief in healthcare as a fundamental human right. Whether you see it as brilliant diplomacy or a flawed system, you can't deny the incredible global footprint of Cuba's army of doctors. They are, in many ways, the country's most powerful and respected ambassadors, healing the world one patient at a time. Alright, let's dive into one of the most confusing and fascinating things about Cuba, their money situation. For the longest time, it was like the whole country was playing a video game on two different difficulty settings at the same time. They had two official currencies, bro. Two! There was the Cuban peso, or cup, which is what most locals used to get paid in and buy their basic subsidized stuff. This was the national currency. Then you had the Cuban convertible peso, the CUC, which was the tourist currency, pegged to the US dollar. It was a whole thing. Imagine going to the store and having to figure out which currency to use. The CUC was worth about 25 times more than the C-UP. So, if you worked in tourism and got paid in CUCs, you were living a completely different economic reality than a state worker getting paid in C-UP. This created a huge divide in society. A doctor or an engineer earning cup might make less in a month than a bartender or a taxi driver who gets CUC tips in a single day. It completely flipped the economic pyramid on its head and made everyone want to work in the tourism sector. This two-currency system was a wild economic experiment that lasted for decades. It was originally introduced to capture the foreign currency flowing into the country after the fall of the Soviet Union. The CUC was the bridge between the outside world's cash and Cuba's closed economy. But it created all sorts of distortions and headaches. You'd have separate stores for CUC and Key Up, different prices for the same products, and a constant hustle to exchange one currency for the other. It was a daily mathematical challenge for everyone living there. Now here's the kicker. They officially got rid of the CUC at the beginning of 2021 in a process they called monetary unification. The goal was to simplify the economy and get rid of the inequalities the dual currency system created. But it's been a rocky transition, to say the least. It led to massive inflation, and now, while the C-UP is the only official currency, the US dollar and the euro have become the de facto kings on the street. So, they went from two currencies to a weird, unofficial three-currency mess. It's a fascinating, real-time lesson in economics. Now, if the money situation wasn't wild enough, let's talk about the Libreta de Abastecimiento, or the ration book. This is some real, old-school, post-revolution stuff that's still a part of daily life for every Cuban family. It's a little booklet that looks like it's from the 1960s, and it basically is. Every household has one, and it entitles them to a monthly quota of subsidized basic goods. We're talking rice, beans, sugar, coffee, cooking oil, and even a few eggs. It's the government's way of ensuring that everyone has access to a bare minimum of food. This system has been in place for over 60 years. Each month, Cubans take their libreta to their local state-run grocery store, called a bodega, and the shopkeeper records what they've collected. The quantities are small, and it's definitely not enough to live on for the whole month. It's more of a baseline, a safety net. For example, you might get a few pounds of rice, a little bit of sugar, and maybe one small tube of toothpaste per person. It's a stark reminder of the economic realities and the state's central role in people's lives. The libreta is a symbol of Cuban life. On one hand, it represents a commitment to social equality, the idea that no one should starve. It's a system born out of necessity and ideology, but on the other hand, it's a constant reminder of the shortages and the country's economic struggles. The list of subsidized products has shrunk over the years, and the quality can be inconsistent. It represents both the security and the limitations of the Cuban system. For Cubans, it's just a normal part of their monthly routine, a ritual that has been passed down through generations. Walking into a bodega is an experience in itself. The shelves are often sparse, with just the basic ration goods available. There's a sense of community, as neighbors line up and chat while waiting their turn. It's a system that feels completely alien to anyone used to a giant supermarket with endless choices. But in Cuba, it's a fundamental piece of the social fabric. The libreta isn't just a ration book, it's a tangible link to the country's history, its ideals, and its ongoing struggle to provide for its people in the face of incredible challenges. Cuba is the birthplace of rumba and salsa, music so infectious it takes over your soul. Rumba is raw, born from Afro-Cuban communities with wooden percussion, passionate dancers and stories told through rhythm. It's a living tradition, passed down in the streets of Havana. Then there's salsa, the global superstar blending Cuban sun, mambo and cha-cha-cha into a high-energy dance that's all about connection. Legends like Celia Cruz and the Buena Vista Social Club made the world dance. In Cuba, music pours from every doorway. You go to Cuba, you dance. That's the law, my dude. Let's talk about what truly fuels Cuba. Coffee. Not your pumpkin spice latte, but the legendary cafecito, a tiny cup of liquid lightning, brewed strong and sweet with a creamy espumita on top. The day doesn't start until the first pot is brewed, filling homes with that rich aroma. Served in thimble-sized cups, it's a ritual, a social bond, and a symbol of Cuban hospitality. Whether it's a quick shot with friends or a colada shared at work, coffee is the glue of Cuban life. Strong, sweet, and always shared, Cuban coffee is pure culture in a cup. In Cuba, dominoes isn't just a game, it's a full-contact sport, a social ritual, and the heartbeat of the street. Tiles slam down with thunder, trash talk flies, and strategy runs deep. It's where neighbors bond, generations connect, and legends are made. Superstitions, coffee, and rum fuel the action. If you get the chance, pull up a chair. You'll feel the passion and maybe, just maybe, slam down a tile yourself. Dominoes, it's the soul of Cuba. Land in Havana and you're instantly transported back in time. Classic American cars from the 1950s, bubblegum pink Cadillacs, cherry red Chevys, turquoise Buicks, cruise the streets like it's no big deal. These aren't museum pieces, they're daily drivers, taxis, and family cars, kept alive by Cuban ingenuity. Mechanics here are artists, fabricating parts from scratch, adapting whatever they can find. Each car is a rolling work of art, a symbol of resilience and creativity. In Cuba, these cars aren't just transportation, they're the heart and soul of the streets, a living, rumbling history. Cuban food is a flavor bomb, and you can't visit without trying the essentials. Start with ropa vieja, tender shredded beef in a rich tomato sauce. Then grab a Cubano sandwich, stacked with pork, ham, cheese, pickles, and mustard on crispy Cuban bread. Don't miss moros y cristianos, black beans and rice cooked together, and tostones, crispy, salty fried plantains. Wash it down with a sweet, strong cafecito, or cool off with a classic mojito. For dessert, try the creamy caramel-soaked flan. Cuban food is vibrant, soulful, and best enjoyed with good company. Cuban festivals are pure energy, vibrant parades, music and dance that reveal the island's soul. From Havana's colorful street parties to the fiery Fiesta del Fuego in Santiago, every celebration is a blend of Spanish and African roots. In small towns, spiritual Santeria rituals mix faith and festivity, while Remedios erupts in wild fireworks during Las Parandas. And for cigar lovers, the Festival del Habano is luxury and tradition. Whether it's spiritual, chaotic, or elegant, Cubans celebrate heritage with unmatched passion. Let's talk about the real cost of living in Cuba. For tourists, Cuba can feel affordable. Mojitos for a few bucks, classic car rides and cheap stays. But for locals, it's a different world. The average salary barely covers basics, and shortages mean daily life is a constant hustle. While visitors enjoy the perks of foreign currency, Cubans stretch every peso, navigating ration books, long lines, and high prices. To truly understand Cuba, you have to see both sides, the tourist paradise and the resilient struggle of everyday life. So there you have it. From the vintage cars cruising down the Malecon to the secret rhythms of Santeria festivals and the daily hustle that defines life on this island, Cuba is more than just a postcard, it's a living, breathing, complicated masterpiece. It's a country of incredible resilience, overflowing with a culture so rich and a spirit so strong that no embargo or hardship has ever been able to extinguish it. It's a place that will challenge your perceptions, open your eyes, and definitely make you want to dance, probably with a $3 mojito in your hand. This island gets into your soul and stays there. If this journey changed the way you see Cuba, even just a little bit, do us a solid and smash that like button. It seriously helps the channel reach more people and share these stories. And if you want more raw, real, and surprising travel documentaries from places that will blow your mind, make sure you subscribe. We're just getting started and you're not going to want to miss where we're headed next. We're all about peeling back the layers and showing you the world as it really is, one unbelievable destination at a time. We want to hear from you now. Drop a comment below and let us know what your favorite fact from this video was. Was it the Immortal Man, the Dr. Diplomacy, or the insane Parrandas Festival? Or, if you've been lucky enough to visit this incredible island, tell us about your experience in Cuba. What surprised you the most? We read every single comment, so let's get a conversation started right down there. Your stories and insights are what make this community so awesome. And one last thing before you go, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way, you'll be the first to know when our next video drops, and you won't miss a single adventure. Thanks for hanging out with us on this trip through the heart of Cuba. Stay curious, stay thirsty for travel, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.